An officer is the other side of the door now.
Go ahead, fella.
There's somebody knocking on my door saying that they've been stabbed. He's telling me he's dying. Oh my God, he's screaming now.
February. A teenage boy was lured to a park on a cold evening. A chase through the night. A brutal, premeditated attack. And the digital footprints that led police straight to the killers. This is the tragic case of Lyrico Steede, the 17-year-old whose murder sent shockwaves through the UK. Lyrico Steede, known as Rico to his friends, was a bright and ambitious young man. Originally from Bermuda, he had moved to Nottingham 3 years prior, seeking new opportunities with his family. But instead of a fresh start, his life was cut tragically short by a ruthless group of teenagers. 13th February 2018. Lyrico had arranged to meet a girl, 16-year-old Letitia Shakespeare. But what he didn't know was that this was a setup. A group of 4 teenagers had laid a trap, waiting for him to arrive. As Lyrico arrived at the park around 7:30 p.m., the girl led him towards a bench. Everything seemed normal, until figures emerged from the darkness. Hooded, masked, and armed. Without warning, they attacked. Lyrico ran for his life. CCTV captured the chase, a frantic dash through the park as his assailants pursued him with relentless determination. Cornered, Lyrico was stabbed multiple times in a vicious and sustained attack. Despite his injuries, he managed to escape, running half a mile before collapsing on the doorstep of a nearby house. Paramedics arrived and rushed Lyrico to Queen's Medical Center. He had suffered 5 deep stab wounds. 18th February 2018. Despite the efforts of doctors, 5 days later, Lyrico succumbed to his injuries. With a teenage boy murdered, the pressure was on for Nottinghamshire police to find those responsible. But they faced a major challenge. Lyrico's killers had covered their tracks well. They wore masks, they left no weapons behind, and they refused to talk. But what they didn't count on was digital forensics. Using mobile phone records, social media activity, and CCTV footage, police began to unravel the web of deception. A name known to Lyrico was given to the investigators who was later interviewed. She didn't know Lyrico well but agreed to meet him.
That happened last week, which you're aware of. But the most important thing is that you tell the truth about what's happened. That is really, really important. I know you're 15 years old and I'm sure you understand the difference between right and wrong.
At first I messaged him on Instagram, that's how we got in contact with each other, but then we switched over to Snapchat. He messaged me saying, "What are you doing? Should we meet up really?" Well, I was gonna get a drone soon. He was there for about an hour, and then people came on the park and I heard the gate bang, and then people came on the park and ran. And after that then I went to look for Rico, and I couldn't find him, so I went straight in because I'm worried and scared.
She went on and said the group who attacked them robbed her and took her iPad, and she didn't know what to do. It wasn't long before investigators found CCTV of the girl on the bus using her iPad after the incident, which she said got stolen. She was lying. One by one, the pieces of evidence fell into place. CCTV showed the suspects arriving at the scene together. Phone records revealed messages exchanged in the hours before the attack. And digital footprints uncovered the sinister plan that had been set in motion long before Lyrico stepped foot. The post-mortem examination revealed the brutal extent of the attack. Lyrico Steede had suffered 18 stab wounds, 6 of which were to his face. This level of violence suggested there was far more to the attack than a random act of aggression. Police needed answers, and they turned back to the girl who had lured Lyrico to the park. Despite repeated questioning, the girl refused to give up any information due to being scared. Investigators knew they were missing key details. But then, an unexpected lead came from local taxi services. A taxi company reported that 4 young males had been picked up and dropped off in the Bulwell area around the time of the attack. The journey started in Lenton, a 15-minute drive away. But what really caught the police's attention was how the boys had left the taxi, running off without paying and leaving something behind. A small but crucial piece of evidence, a Nokia phone. Detectives believed they were getting closer, but despite this promising lead, progress stalled. That's when they turned to the public, launching a media appeal in hopes of gathering more information.
This is following the tragic death of a 17-year-old boy that was stabbed a week ago today on Lillington Road in Stobwell in Bulwell. Lyrico Steede was a 17-year-old boy much loved by his family.
The appeal paid off. Police received intelligence about an individual known as Cash, later identified as 19-year-old Kashern Campbell. He was already familiar to law enforcement, known for carrying knives and having a history of trouble with the police. Campbell's past was troubled. His own father had been murdered when he was a child. Using digital forensics, police confirmed that Kashern Campbell was in the Bulwell area at the time of Lyrico's murder. But he wasn't alone. Another name emerged from the investigation: Christian Jameson, also known as C. Rose. The web of connections was growing. Further forensic analysis uncovered links between the girl's phone and Kashern, tying the two groups together. More individuals were identified through CCTV footage: Remel Miller Campbell, also known as Rems, and a 16-year-old known only as JD. What had started as a mysterious and brutal attack was now unraveling into a premeditated crime, involving multiple individuals. But while police had their suspects, they still needed to prove exactly what had happened that night. And why. Through their digital trail, police identified the main attacker, 19-year-old Kashern Campbell. Alongside him were Christian Jameson and two other teens, whose names were withheld due to their age. During the trial, prosecutors revealed that the attack was premeditated. Lyrico had been targeted due to a social media dispute. A trivial argument online had escalated into deadly violence. Both sides were mocking each other. Even though Lyrico played a very small part in the music video, as he was just in the background. The defendants lured Lyrico to the park under false pretenses.
Gang bang, Rem, C-Rolls, YP Cash, hash to the athlete gang.
For sure.
Dick slap that prick in the back with the shit, he's lucky that blade was blunt. Anyone screaming athlete gang finna get rumbles.
They chased him down, outnumbered him, and executed a cold-blooded attack. This was not a fight. This was an ambush. January 2019. After weeks of testimony, the verdict was reached. Kashern Campbell was found guilty of murder and sentenced to 20 years. Christian Jameson received 16 years. The other three, including the girl who lured Lyrico, were convicted of manslaughter, receiving sentences ranging from 8 to 12 years. For Lyrico's loved ones, the sentences offered some justice, but nothing could bring back the bright young man they had lost. No parent should ever have to bury their child. I just hope that other young people learn from this tragedy and choose a different path. In the wake of his death, Nottinghamshire Police launched the Lyrico Steede Award, recognizing young people making positive changes in their communities. His name now stands as a reminder of the consequences of youth violence. Lyrico's story is a tragedy, one of lost potential, senseless violence, and the dangers of social media feuds escalating beyond control. But through awareness, education, and community action, we can prevent more young lives from being lost to the same fate.